There's many things we can talk about on this channel because we're dealing with the topic matter of nature, which within itself is not really talked about pretty much anywhere. I'm talking about at its core fundamental roots, looking at subjects for the nature for which they stand completely within itself. And that aspect of life is something that we learn a lot from, however, but it's hard to obtain in a world where I say, we are denatured, in a world rather entrenched with so much distraction. Because the world that is natural, the world that is free, is all around us here and now and still, and people should have fun. People should enjoy life, but they put things in their way, and such it becomes a distraction. There becomes deterrence. And so a good example, two examples I'm going to bring up. I've mentioned some of these folks before, but because again, it is not seen very often, and I'm sure there's many people who actually live like these folks I'm going to mention, but because they have such a natural way of living, it is usually not the showcase in a world that is very reliant on all that is unnatural, such as a lot of the technology that is used. I'm not saying technology is a bad thing. If you want to look into it, look at my video, Natural versus Unnatural, my other video, Natural Intelligence versus Artificial Intelligence. Technology can be used for good or bad, just like anything. And technology technically came with nature, right, as everything did. So let's just understand that we are entrenched in systems that aren't the original reality. We are entrenched in systems that are farther away from nature, but still within the domain, therefore prone to get affected by the laws within. And thus, natural law is always at work. It's always affecting people. No matter if anyone accepts it or not, whether anyone thinks this perspective, whatever. It's always here all the time. People can try to disagree with some of the points, even though I rarely see it, because most people do agree, and it's still within their lives. It's still influencing their behavior. There's nothing they can do about it. Now, nature is this constant grasp that we have in our lives. It's part of ourselves. That's something that we can also do about it. So just like the laws of nature, because, what is of nature makes up nature, nature within itself is something we can't just brush off. We are human. We can't reverse that. As much as we try, we truly can't do that. And that, thus you can see that there are some of the problems with artificial intelligence. But the two folks I'm going to mention here is Sv3rige, okay, that's Sv3rige, and Jonna Jinton, and she has a YouTube channel which has skyrocketed lately. And you question why, I don't see it typically on trending. I don't see it usually in the mainstream point of view, but people are extremely attracted to it. And the reason why is because we have this bound attachment to our natural world. It's inescapable, number one, and number two, it's attractable. Everybody will find it attractive. Just as I said, everybody will understand these laws, even if they have some particular opinions about it. They still at heart are connected to it. They still at heart have knowledge of it. And thus, it is a powerful mechanism for people's lives, their health, everything. It's life within itself. And you can equate nature to reality, equate nature to truth, so forth. But the way Jonna Jinton shows her videos, she's from Sweden, of all the natural scenery, of how she lives a very much more natural life. She's one with nature. She constantly talks about it, how she is working with the seasons, not against nature. She's always working with nature, listening to her body, doing what she can to prepare for the seasons, going with the seasons, accepting it for what it is, taking it in all the moments that she can, and making the best out of all of it, simply living life, having fun. And she's able to make a living doing that because she's showing other people that, and that inspires those people. And you have to question, why are those people inspired then by that content? Perhaps it is because they do not have those natural environments for themselves. A sense of, not jealousy, but internal desire to somewhat have the same. I think a lot of people might agree with that statement, at least in the comment chains that I've seen on her page. I see, a lot of people saying, when anybody asks me what does a good life look like, I send them that YouTube channel, Jonna Jinton. And it's also an example for a lot of people. A lot of people are like, man, I want to go, to nature. I want to do something similar like this. Man, you're so inspiring. I want to just, live life. I want to just do these things. And that inspiration and the creativity and the artistic nature of that work and the creativeness of that work, just simply the landscapes within itself, you realize that can't be replicated. Nature paints pictures every single day. It's the masterful artist, as I've said in my videos. That is priceless, and that is more powerful than anything. That's why I think she has such a deep connection to what she does, her life, her videos, all of it. And she's able to sustain it quite well. Congratulations to her. Deep gratitude. And, the fact that she's able to do all the stuff online and do all the stuff in real life and hang out with family even, and just showing all the traditional values, showing all the natural values. I think a lot of people can agree, is just so powerful for the modern world. It's no wonder why, she spent 2 years on one video going through how the seasons change, and she got 6 million views within just a couple days. And she's like, wow, I never expected to get this big, but, she's been working on it for a while. And you can tell her attachment to nature is just so strong, deeply rooted. And that is worth giving gratitude toward within itself. The dedication, the effort, and also the fact she's sharing that with people. I think it's more impactful than she thinks, more impactful than a lot of people may think. Just showing all the natural scenery, showing her life. It's not like an everyday vlog. I mean, all these so-called vloggers. She's showing a whole reality that the world needs, and many aspects of it that the world needs. Now, Sv3rige, on the other hand, and I don't intend to make this video too long because I just want to make these points very crystal clear and concise. Sv3rige doesn't work. Okay? Now, I don't know, I think she makes her living online for the most part, kind of similar to Sv3rige. He's got an online community on YouTube, but not nearly as big. But talking about nature constantly. Nature's the constant theme. Doing videos in nature. Something I'm going to be doing more too, I'm sure, in the future. And, nature's my biggest inspiration too. And I think it is for a lot of people as well. I get these comments all the time, like, it's just something I go toward. It doesn't matter what their beliefs are, it doesn't matter any of that. It's all conjecture, it's all semantics. They have this connection to nature. So yes, am I saying regardless of natural law too? Yeah, regardless of that too. People have this connection to nature, thus they have a greater sense of the law. And that is just unbelievably powerful to the point where he says, well, look, I don't need to work. I don't need to work because I'm happy, I'm living life. This is what life should be. And you know what? He's still making a living. And he's his own life, his own entity. He can do what he wishes with it. What's so bad about not working? Another stigma. And there's so many stigmas, if we're talking about the natural world and the unnatural world. We're looking at everything man-made is what is just bombarding our minds constantly, whether it's time or money or calendars even. It's all man-made. So even, that's why I'm not surprised if they want to do the shape of the earth too. Look, another man-made thing. They can turn everything man-made, whether it's man's law, man's medicine, everything just turns man-made. There's a lack of God, even if, there's truth, let's say, in the spherical model, which there very well may be, right? Of course, like I said in my video, there's a lot of knowledge above human knowledge. It doesn't, it's the connection to nature then, connection to God, that is being degraded, that is being replaced. And, the intentions of the folks who do the research, the people and what they use it for their agendas and how it affects people's minds, this is all important. And I have already a bunch of people from these so-called science communities, left brain, attacking me on these science schematics, meanwhile saying I'm giving a bunch of conjecture. They're talking about all this, and they're not really relating to any of the points that I make within the video. The video doesn't really talk about any of those points. They see some images, it starts triggering them to say, "Oh, I need to comment about this immediately. I need to tell people how stupid they are. I need to tell them." It's like, okay, we get it. Don't worry. Your agenda, anyways, is pretty much everywhere. So if I want to find it, it's not that hard. So people need to give credence to those more natural points of view, which are going to be sometimes ridiculed and sometimes admired. It's going to be either or. It's going to be the super admirable or the super, you are nonconformists. Where are you in this reality? And it also depends on your approach, right? So I approach my videos, and I like to do the scripted videos to give the approach a bit more structure and detail, to give it also more understanding. I think people can have more of an open mind to it. The more care that's put into it, the way it's delivered, like I said, the tone of voice, everything matters there when it comes to appeal. And that's not to say don't be yourself. It's to say, well, listen, you can be yourself, and you just have to learn that if you are trying to convey a message, well, don't you want it to be effective? Don't you want it to reach people? So, nonetheless, these folks are doing good at it. They're doing better than me, I guess you can say. They're doing better than a lot of people. And, whether it's good or bad, they're giving out the natural perspective, and whether, they agree with each other, again, it's like we're trying to understand nature, and that is a conversation within itself that so many people aren't talking about. Just as it is a conversation about action needed for the truth in the world that isn't being talked about. And I think independent media loses the grip totally when they forget these aspects of not just action, but nature. Not just intention, but ambition. Not just intuition, but, this sort of drive, this movement. And people always use the word movement. They always say it. And they don't actually put it into movement, into action. But they always use the word movement as if it is. So why not actually be one? Why not start to actually act as one? And of course, I'll have many videos about the subject on the channel about that, in case you want to look into it. And talking about many different details, how we transition the world and so forth. But that is a whole separate topic. The point is that when we do those action steps, when we are to do anything in this world, we have to question how much is it going to affect nature? How much is in abundance to nature? Are we working from the roots? Are we working with the roots? Nature must be the question within all questions, see? Otherwise, we forget the root. Because nature is the root. So, it's always going back to that underlying question. And it's not why, it's nature. And nature's why. So, it's understanding why something is the way that it is. That's the meaning of nature, right? It's getting to its condition, its intended use, its blueprint. So, then nature is the whole world, this manifested reality of all this beauty that we see in the world. There's multiple meanings to it, and in the broadest of ways, I think it's all beautiful. And People may have bad perspectives of the nonconformist who tend to live more of nature and understand aspects of nature. So be it. So be it, because nature will always rise above all. Like I said, you can equate it to the truth, because what is above nature? Tell me. What is? You say God, well, one and the same. Nature, God, everywhere, all the time. So it's a beautiful thing to see these content creators speaking their minds and really providing those perspectives. And I suggest people seek them out to simply learn some bits of wisdom, bits of inspiration from these folks to help you move on into the world and feel more confident about yourself and find your way amongst the world that doesn't really show you that natural perspective. The whole point of this channel is to sort of bring that to you, though of course through my own perspective, my own natural environment. And like I said, and I say in many videos, you can use nature for poetry and so many creative works in so many different ways. People just need to do it and use it and see it, take the time, really just take the time to observe and understand and write, journal, take those videos. Because all these folks, that's what we all have in common. Look at it. Sv3rige wrote notes. He would walk outside, start talking. Sv3rige then created videos, starts talking with other people about it, starts creating a little controversy about it, starts going to the right events at the right places at the right time to get the most attention out of it. And Jonna Jinton, what does she do? She's going outside, she's taking all these pictures, inspiring people, doing the music, going through every process of it. And people feel the connection not just to the authenticity, but to every step of the process, the amount of work that was put into it. It's just every part is just a tapestry within itself, and that I think constitutes a generally good video, just as a generally good painting, just as a genuinely good music piece. It has many aspects that come together. It is, again, imitative of what we see in nature. All these other aspects coming together and creating a tapestry, just like natural law, right? A tapestry of so many different principles, hermetic principles, and laws within. So when you have to seek that tapestry for yourself, well, you live in a unique environment for yourself with unique points of view. You are a unique being. You can inspire people in ways unimaginable. You can do things unimaginable. Well, it is imaginable. You have to use your imagination. Think, observe, take time, listen, feel it out. I think the best of all creations come out of those environments when you take and give more time to nature. So if you want to be creative, go to nature. I say this often in my creativity videos. And if you want to be inspired, go to nature. And if it helps looking at other people in nature to help you do the same or whatnot, it all comes down to the same thing, don't you see? It all comes down to the same thing. It's our connection with nature. Whether we, feel it in our minds because we're not actually living it, our minds set the stage for a lot. We're going to have some internal desire to add some things into our life that sort of imitates the way these folks are living naturally, because we realize how important it is, we realize how beautiful it is, we realize how sustaining it could be, how life-learning it is, how it gives us purpose and desire and that ambition to live life and continue on. So thank you for listening. This is Corey Angelat. Nature is the answer.